When you think of Switzerland, what comes to mind? Probably wealth, stability, maybe some really good chocolate. But what if I told you that its incredible stability has actually created this bizarre trillion-dollar problem, a problem that has its central bank in a massive bind? Yeah, let's get into it.
So take a look at this number. That's $1 trillion. It's an absolutely astonishing figure, and it's the value of the foreign assets held by the Swiss National Bank. To put that into perspective for you, that's roughly the same size as Switzerland's entire yearly economic output, its GDP. But believe me, it gets even weirder.
You see, this isn't just a pile of foreign cash sitting in a vault. Oh no. The Swiss National Bank is one of the biggest stock market investors in the world. It owns about $12 billion worth of Nvidia stock alone, and it has billions and billions more in tech giants like Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. Now, this is just not normal behavior for a central bank, not at all.
And that brings us to the central mystery we're going to unravel today. Why on earth is one of the world's most famously conservative financial institutions acting like a giant hedge fund and making these massive bets on the US stock market? Well, the answer is a fascinating story about becoming a victim of your own success.
Okay, so to understand why the Swiss Central Bank is on this trillion-dollar shopping spree, we first have to talk about the unique and really powerful status of its currency, the Swiss franc.
It all starts with this idea of a reserve currency. Basically, this is money that other countries' central banks and big financial institutions love to hold on to because it's considered exceptionally safe and stable over the long haul.
Now, when it comes to reserve currencies, the US dollar is king, no question. It makes up more than half of all global reserves. The Swiss franc, you'll notice, is a tiny player in comparison, less than 1%. But here's the thing. Its importance isn't about its size, it's all about its reputation. The franc is seen as one of the absolute safest currencies on the planet.
And because of that rock-solid reputation, whenever there's a crisis or instability in the world, a pandemic, a war, a financial panic, investors and institutions rush to convert their money into Swiss francs. It's the ultimate financial safe haven.
But here's the twist. This incredible popularity, this constant rush for safety, creates a huge and deeply counterintuitive problem for the Swiss economy itself. It's a real curse of being too popular.
I know what you're thinking. It sounds great, right? Everybody wants your money. So, why is this a massive headache for Switzerland? Why would they ever actively try to fight against having a super strong currency?
Well, it's a perfect double-edged sword. On the one hand, a strong franc is great for Swiss households. They can buy imported goods, cars, electronics, you name it, much more cheaply. But for the country's businesses, it's a potential disaster. Their exports suddenly become incredibly expensive for the rest of the world, and even worse, it creates a serious risk of deflation.
And that risk of deflation? It's very real. While most of the world has been battling crazy high inflation, Switzerland's has been less than 1%. At times, it's even dipped into negative territory. And that means prices are actually falling, which sounds good, but it can absolutely cripple an economy.
This all matters so much because a huge part of the Swiss economy depends on selling things to other countries. We're talking about those famous watches, pharmaceuticals, high-tech machinery. If the franc gets too strong, those goods just become unaffordable for foreign buyers, and that threatens jobs and entire industries back home.
So faced with this constant threat of their currency becoming too popular, the Swiss National Bank, or SNB, developed a very, let's call it funky, strategy to deal with it.
Okay, so here's how this wild strategy works. Step 1. When global demand for francs surges, the SNB literally prints more of them out of thin air. Step 2. It uses those newly created francs to buy up foreign currencies, like US dollars and euros. This floods the market with francs, pushing its value down. And finally, to do something with that huge pile of foreign cash, they reinvest it in assets, like global stocks and bonds.
Now, this isn't a brand new plan. The SNB really kicked this into high gear after the 2008 financial crisis. See, while other countries were using massive government spending to boost their economies, Switzerland's laws limit how much debt their government can take on. So the central bank had to step in, using this currency strategy to fight low growth and give their exporters a fighting chance. But here's where the story takes a turn. Over the last decade and a half, this solution has morphed into an even bigger, more complex problem. The S&B has essentially built itself a beautiful trillion-dollar golden cage.
And here's the trap they're in. First, they're sitting on this massive portfolio that they can't really sell. Why? Because if they sold those foreign assets and converted all that money back into francs, it would cause the franc's value to skyrocket, the very thing they've been trying to prevent all along. And to top it all off, they're now facing accusations, particularly from the US, of being an unfair currency manipulator.
Just to give you an idea of how stuck they are, even during the recent global inflation crisis, which was kind of the perfect opportunity to let their currency get stronger and sell off some assets, the S&B only managed to offload about 20% of its portfolio. Any more than that, and they would have risked pushing their own economy right back toward that dangerous deflation.
In the end, the problem isn't that Switzerland did something wrong. It's almost that it did everything right. This quote really sums it up perfectly. Its stability and its wealth have created a paradox with no easy solution.
So ultimately, Switzerland's greatest strength, its rock-solid stability, has backed its central bank into a corner. They are forced to act like a high-risk investment fund, all to protect their economy from the consequences of being seen as the safest place in the world to park your money.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating final question, doesn't it? For a country that is essentially trapped by its own stability and wealth, what does a real solution even look like? It is an economic riddle for our modern